You know, I really can't wait to review a movie that I really like. Maybe I should just review a movie I bought posters for. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. I love seeing all the views and the comments. Really appreciate it, really enjoy doing this for y'all, really enjoy just doing this for me. This is a great time and thanks for supporting. So with that, let's get into the review of Ad Astra. So Ad Astra follows Roy McBride, played by Brad Pitt, as he goes into the outer edge of the solar system to find his missing father, in order to save the world from catastrophic power surges that threaten to destroy the human race as we know it. It's so funny because when I walked into this movie, I had no idea really what to expect. I mean, the trailers were very vague and almost to a point it seemed like they were trying to hide something and hide the plot details, which have been really cool on their part. But nope, that's not what was happening. The movie was pretty straightforward, and what you got from the trailer is basically what you got in the movie. Honestly, walking out of Ad Astra, I was very confused and torn on my feelings about the movie. I mean, I saw it twice this weekend, and I liked it a lot better the first time I saw it, and the second time I saw it, I was honestly falling asleep most of the time, and it was a hard movie to review for sure. There was just so much to take in when you consider the hype this movie had, the anticipation I had going to the film, and just the product that it did deliver. It made it very hard to review, and it took me a few days to kind of let my feelings settle in and marinate and be able to write this review up. The biggest takeaway I have is basically this is a very well-made film technically and visually. It looks beautiful. From a technical standpoint, the shots are really good. Brad Pitt's pretty good in this movie, but there's a lot left to be desired in this movie and a lot of meat left to chew on the bone, I would say. But let's go ahead and get into the positives and the things I did like about the movie, and we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and get into technical stuff first, because that's probably the best part about this film. For what starters, this movie is freaking beautiful. It looks amazing. Everything about the cinematography looks good, and you can really tell the talent behind the camera. I believe this movie was filmed by the same cinematographer as Interstellar. What do you know? That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And you can really tell the talent behind the camera, like I said, and it's a beautiful movie, and that's really what brings you in. Another aspect of this movie that is dang near perfect is the score. I mean, if you ask any one of my college roommates, that's basically what I listen to when I'm bored, is musical scores. It's a true shame that only one of the songs is on Spotify, but man, it's a great score, and it really draws you in, and especially at this climax of the movie at the end. There's a big ending scene with Brad Pitt, and this score is just insane, and I've been having that on loop as I've been writing this video throughout the whole time. So we're done with all the technical stuff. Let's get into the other stuff I really liked. I really liked the world this movie was set in, and I really liked the kind of distant future that this director saw that the world was going towards. It really shows or it really predicts where we're gonna go as far as space travel, and I like the ideas that it explores of the accomplishments that we made in space travel, but also the consequences we have with space travel and the pursuit of exploration that they have in the movie. This isn't really a spoiler, but there's a scene on the moon in this movie that is very interesting because I'll just kind of say it. There's an Applebee's on it. Me and the kid next to me looked at each other and like, duh. But it was really funny, and it was really cool to see how the director sees us going, and it's how the take that we have on the world, that everything is being commercialized, and even the moon itself. So I really like that aspect of the movie, and I really like the world that this whole movie was placed in. Lastly, I mean, the first time I saw this movie, I was pretty intrigued the whole time. Like I said earlier, the plot was pretty straightforward and didn't veer off really what the trailer gave you, which the first time I saw it really wasn't a problem for me, and also it kept me interested throughout the whole time, even though it might have been slow at some points. But overall, I did enjoy the small story that there was, and the ending I think was worth it. I think that's all the positives I have about this movie, so unfortunately we gotta go ahead and get into the negatives. I want to preface this part by saying I think I need to do a better job of checking my expectations at the door. I think a lot of negatives in this movie especially are due to the fact of my high expectations I had going in from what I saw from the trailers, what I saw from the reviews before. I just really expected a lot more from this movie, and a lot, especially more on the entertainment value of it. And I think next time I go into the movie, I'm just going to not read any reviews. I'm going to try not to watch any trailers, but overall, my expectations of this movie really hindered my overall review, and I'm going to try and do a better job about that. So with that, one big thing I had about this movie that I didn't like was the trailers in this movie really are trying to sell you that this is a Brad Pitt blockbuster space action thriller, and they show you all the really exciting parts of the movie in the trailer, and then you see the movie and you realize, wait a minute, this is not what this movie is. This movie is like a huge character study about a father and a son and them being reconnected through this kind of crazy plot that has the main character go all the way out to Neptune, that's your plot. So I think that's kind of the problem I had is I was sold on something else, but I was delivered not what I was expecting. Even those exciting parts in the trailers, I think, could have been completely cut out because they didn't add anything to the story or the plot. I feel like they were just there to add some sort of tension and suspense, but even that, they didn't do a good job of raising the tension or suspense. So you could have cut those out and made this movie a lot shorter and probably the same quality. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is just not a real plot-driven movie. It's really just driven on characters and how they change throughout the film from beginning to end, and I feel like that's just not what I was looking for, and I just think there are other movies that do this a lot better, so that's what really disappointed me about this movie. The next problem I have kind of goes back to earlier what I said about Brad Pitt. I think his character just kind of like makes or breaks the movie for you because he's written so dull and in such a monotone way. It's just kind of hard to watch at some points, and it really it's quite boring at points, and it's not very charismatic, and it's not something we're used to seeing Brad Pitt do. Every scene is written like this, and it's very monotone and very boring and very pretentious. It's hard to watch, and it's also, there's a lot of voiceover in the movie that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It gives you an insight in what Brad Pitt's thinking at the points, but sometimes it just doesn't make any sense at all. So, and I get what the director's trying to do. Like, this character is sold as a very even-keeled person who isn't shaken up by a lot of things, and he's the only person that could go on a mission like this. But unfortunately, I mean, that just didn't do it for me, and it really took away from the film, and I really didn't enjoy watching Brad Pitt's performance in this movie whatsoever. Lastly, I mean, this movie, I don't think it has any rewatchable factor in it. On second viewing of this movie, I was falling asleep. I liked it a lot better the first time, and I was falling asleep the second time, and I don't fall asleep in movies, but it was a tough watch the second time, and I saw a lot more of the flaws than I did the positives in this movie the second time I saw it. I just really like good movies with good plots and good characters, and this movie was lacking in both, so I think that was what's really brought the movie down for me and why I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. So now that we've trudged our way through the positives and negatives, I guess that means we have to give it a score? Ad Astra is ultimately just a really tough movie to review. I mean, I loved a lot of stuff about this, and I love Brad Pitt in general and love most movies. I think he's most of the time a fun actor to watch, and I freaking love space movies. I can make a list of top 10 space movies and have trouble leaving some off. There's just so many good ones, and like being from Houston, I just grew up around NASA, and just something I've always been interested in and something I've always had an interest in watching on screen. When I heard about a Brad Pitt space movie coming out with a very mysterious plot and some interesting trailers, it was going to shoot really high on my anticipated list, so unfortunately it's really disappointed me, and I have to settle about a 65 out of 100. It pains me to say that. Like, I really got sad writing this review and writing 65, but I can't lie to myself. This movie just really bored me the second time, and I will never watch this movie again, to be honest. But you know, that's life. You know, maybe one day there's a movie that's going to come out that I'll love. Hopefully Star Wars, Joker. We'll see. Thank you so much for tuning into this review, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the comments and criticism I've been getting and help on this channel. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We're going to be reviewing Joker next week, so get ready for that. That's number 1 on my most anticipated for the rest of the year. Should be a really good video. Should be a fun time. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks and gig 'em.